Today is All Souls Day, and so we will conclude our consideration of the communion of saints with the church suffering in purgatory. Let us remember, nothing imperfect will enter heaven, and yet many die with imperfections on their souls. Some are not fully detached from the world and fully attached to Almighty God. The strings tying them to the world must be burnt off to make them perfect. Some have been sentenced to years in purgatory for a small imperfection they had, a small venial sin or fault. And recall that mortal sin once forgiven still has a temporal punishment to burn off. This is why anyone who has committed a single mortal sin is to be called a penitent for the rest of their life. And this is why this is called a communion of saints. We are all united together in one common pursuit, the salvation of souls. Those in the church triumphant in heaven are praying for us, asking God to send us all the graces which we are in need of. We, in turn, in the church melted upon earth, are called upon to pray for each other, and especially for the poor, forgotten souls in purgatory. Now, all those in purgatory and the church suffering can do is serve their time. However, we, on the other hand, can ask God to shorten or even commute their sentence. Let us consider who we are duty-bound to pray for. First of all, there are our ancestors, for we could have an ancestor from 1,000 years ago, whose name we have never heard of, who is still in purgatory. We owe them life, and thus we owe them prayers. We are obliged to pray for our close relatives, both living and dead. We are also obliged to pray for our benefactors, who have made our life easier by their prudence and generosity. But let us consider another class of people we must pray for. What if we have sinned with another person, or through our bad example have led them into sin? Don't we have a duty to set the record straight? Of course we do. What can we do? The Church has granted many indulgences for the poor, forgotten souls in purgatory. And I say forgotten, for this doctrine has been denied by almost all heretics of today. And those few who admit it ignore it in practice. Today, on All Souls Day, and for the following 7 days, a plenary indulgence can be gained for the poor souls by visiting a cemetery and praying for them. Any prayers, vocal or mental, may be used. And after the close of this octave, we should not forget the poor souls. No. Every time we pass a cemetery, let us say a short prayer for them. Let us adopt habits of prayer that will encourage us to pray for the poor souls. Could we not offer the Stations of the Cross once a week for them with the attached plenary indulgence? Would we not offer a special penance for them once a week? What happens if a person who has departed from this life into the next comes to our mind? Many years ago, it struck me. If I'm thinking of some person some relative or friend who has departed from this life, maybe God is trying to remind me of my duty to pray for them. So the moment I think of someone that has departed, I offer a short prayer for them. Let us turn our lives into a life of prayer, and let us remember the poor souls in purgatory.